All right. So thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm Duran Whitman, the founder of the Algorithmic Traders Association, and I just want to first thank everyone for joining us, and it's great to see some familiar names in the list. Ever since we started our group in early 2009, we've been giving advice to members of the group who had one challenge or another with designing algorithmic trading strategies in one form or another. Especially Alex, who's been the group manager and moderator for all this time, and we've come a long way. We've come a long way in many ways, and one is by learning from the experience of many traders who were facing the same challenges over and over again, challenges over many different aspects of designing, measuring the success of trading, the different trading models, deploying them, developing them, coding them, and so on. So we've accumulated sort of a wealth of knowledge, and we saw a lot of repetitions, and a lot of traders were having the same challenges. Interestingly enough, even some commonalities with discretionary traders in terms of when to, how to gain confidence in their trading models, understanding the drivers of their own strategies even at times. And we felt that, especially Alex with his vast knowledge, we had a lot to offer in terms of formalized processes and different things that you can, Alex is going to talk about in a few minutes. So at this time, I want to introduce Alex. He's our program director of education. He's not only just an experienced asset manager and recognized in the field of trading automation, he's also a trader himself that specializes in spot forex and index futures. So he brings a wealth of knowledge in terms of not just an academic knowledge and understanding of trading strategies, but also very practical knowledge about how to measure the robustness of trading strategies before they actually go live. And he knows, based on practices that he established and that any of you can follow, can more or less tell with a certain amount of confidence whether a strategy will do well and is tradable or not. And I'll let him speak and introduce the program. So at this point, I want to welcome Alex to the presentation.
Thank you, Doran. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex Christoph, and I'm the Director of Educational Programs of the Algorithmic Traders Association. As the name implies, the association is the platform for all interested parties, traders, investors, and thought leaders who believe that algorithmic or systematic trading is the best solution and the most adequate answer to challenges of today's markets. My educational program is based on over a decade of my personal experience of systematic trading and on experience in one-on-one tuition and personal coaching for traders and fund managers that have been running at my company, EdgeSense Solutions, for several years. Perhaps some of you already noted that the official association's course towards CAT certification also bears the name of EdgeSense. This is partly because of the meaning, which we consider later, and partly because it was the very special training course that I started at EdgeSense Solutions that eventually was used as a basis for the official CAT educational program. Before we proceed, I'd like to outline the audience for which, in my opinion, this program will be especially beneficial. Of course, first of all, we talk about traders, and I would say mostly about serious traders, those that understand the degree of responsibility and treat trading as business, not as leisure or even worse, as gambling. However, we also mean investors, those that would like to get more familiar with systematic trading to better understand the value of various strategies and programs which may look so attractive at first glance. As an example, I once worked with an investor who wanted to be able to properly pick strategies offered via Collective 2, and he has been quite successful after he learned the systematical methods of robustness assessment and risk management that we also cover in this educational course. Besides the official education program, we offer a number of webinar series that aim to help better understanding the Certified Algorithmic Trader program in whole and various aspects of systematic trading in particular. We will get back to the Certified Algorithmic Trader program towards the end of today's webinar, and now I'd like to explain the structure of the webinars. So our webinars are arranged in 5 series, plus one introductory webinar, the very one you're attending right now. These series cover the very topics that you will learn within the Certified Algorithmic Trader program and arranged in the very order in which they are discussed during the program. Of course, we won't go into deepest details as these webinar series are not a replacement for the actual educational course. However, this way you can get some general understanding of what this course is all about. The first webinar series is dedicated to explaining the essence of my proprietary approach to market analysis and helps understanding the actual price drivers that are acting in today's markets. And this understanding is crucial for designing an efficient trading algorithm, since if we understand the nature of the force that drives the market, then we are able to exploit it. Therefore, we discuss the concept of the market as a phenomenon with human origin. We consider various forces that may drive the market price and their contribution to this process. And finally, we have much broader scope of the market ecosystem than what is normally discussed elsewhere. The second webinar series is dedicated to systematic trading itself. So we discuss there the premises of systematic trading, understand the reasons why this approach is valid at all, and why it should be preferred to other approaches in so many cases. We consider various trading methods and understand why they may work and also why they may fail. I think you will agree that this knowledge is no less important. We will also pay attention to statistics and methods of statistical analysis because in the long run your survival in the market is all about positive mathematical expectancy of your trades. Don't worry if this term sounds spooky. We will try to keep things simple during learning, and of course all essentials of mathematical statistics will also be explained in simple terms. Remember that even the most complex concepts from physics, for example, can be explained in simple and understandable words. Otherwise, it may even be quite probable that a concept that cannot be explained is simply wrong. At this point, you may wonder why I am constantly using the term systematic rather than algorithmic trading, while the very name of the association contains algorithmic in it. Well, there is certain ambiguity in terms here. However, as we're all going to be systematical traders, and therefore we are going to be precise, then there is no place for any ambiguity here, right? So let's pour some light onto this subject. Originally, the very term systematic trading was used to name an approach where traders are placed according to a predefined plan, as opposed to discretionary trading where trades are placed just because. The term algorithmic trading has become very popular in the middle of the first decade of the 21st century and normally referred to using various algorithms that basically help find better execution price in the market, especially when the order size is really large. However, since systematic trading implies a system, and system is an action plan, and an action plan can and should be treated as an algorithm as well. Therefore, some traders started to use the same term, algorithmic trading, for systematic trading as well. And for many traders today, these terms mean the same. So I hope okay with that. And now I think at this point it's clear we need to say that within our course I teach how to design, implement and exploit trading systems, a domain that is far broader than just algorithmic trading in the sense that we've just discussed in its classical meaning. While there is a lot of information about algo trading on the net, and most of this information is free, there is so little information about systematic trading, especially about systematic trading done right. So next comes the third series of webinars in which we discuss simulated trading or backtesting. It's possibly the most notorious name in the world of systematic trading, especially among investors. Well, I can understand them very well. So many times they invested into strategies with excellent simulated track record, and so many times they suffered from losses. We definitely need to work it out and understand that it is not backtesting as is what leads to losses in live real trading, but only lack of understanding of systematic trading. And sometimes not only by traders and system developers, but also by investors. That's exactly why this course could be very beneficial for all sophisticated investors looking to expand and properly diversify their portfolios. And that's why we pay so much attention to simulated trading also in our webinar series. We will consider all typical delusions associated with backtesting. We will discuss the reliability of backtesting and whether it can be reliable at all. We will analyze all possible sources of errors and consider various software that allows to perform reliable tests. In the fourth webinar series, we will talk about optimization, the second most misinterpreted and misunderstood cornerstone of systematic trading. I'm almost sure that all of you heard the words curve fitting at least once. This very curve fitting of the ability to adjust the performance of a strategy to pass data without any predictive power is perhaps the ultimate argument of opponents of systematic trading. However, we will see that if performed correctly, optimization can be not only a method of generating smooth equity curves, but also a very powerful research tool that allows to investigate many important properties of a trading system and even assess the potential stability of future results. The fifth series of webinars will be dedicated to probably the most complex and therefore the most frequently omitted part of systematic trading, that is related to analysis of performance and robustness. To put it simpler, in these webinars, we discuss the criteria according to which we may suppose whether our system most probably will perform well in production and estimate the systemic risks associated with this particular system in this particular market. We also consider criteria which may indicate that the system is still adequate to the market, or may suggest that something has changed and now it's time to reduce exposure or sometimes to stop trading of the system completely. Of course, since we are systematic traders, we do it also systematically with a good degree of precision. We decided to make the first webinar of each series free to attend for everyone, while the rest of the webinars are available only to registered members of the Algorithmic Traders Association. So if you want to attend all events that we have, then it's worth becoming a member of the association. Now that we have accepted our terms and definitions, understood the difference and the similarity of systematic and algorithmic trading, and outlined the Certified Algorithmic Trader program content, it's now time to discuss the main goal of this program. And to understand it, I suggest to consider a simple example. Probably many of you know that volatility after releases of certain important news or publication of key economical indicators increase significantly. Unfortunately, this knowledge alone doesn't provide any significant edge in the market. However, in some cases, the reaction to such an event is somewhat predictable, or at least may follow a certain repeating pattern. This fact gave birth to so-called news trading, so popular in late 1990s and especially in the beginning of the 21st century. The original idea of news trading was to wait for the very first price movement after the news release, which is normally quite significant, and then follow this initial momentum. You can see a schematic illustration of this technique in the picture. It's interesting that such a simple, I would even say primitive technique, did really work for some time. However, time went, and the original price pattern as a reaction on news releases changed. Now, if you try to enter the market immediately after the news release in the direction of the initial price movement, then most likely you would have entered the market almost at the very local top or bottom, after which price was normally reversed and you got stopped out. Unless you knew the reasons that caused such a transform of the original pattern of behavior, you would have been absolutely helpless when these reasons were no longer in force, and most likely lose everything you gained with the same technique while it was working during previous years. So this is perhaps the most simplistic example of changes in markets, but I think it provides a very clear picture of the market as a dynamic structure. Other changes are more subtle and less noticeable. It is absolutely crucial for success to be able to understand these changes, to properly interpret them, and in certain cases even predict the future changes in price patterns depending on changes in market structure. Only this knowledge allows you to understand which strategy to apply to which markets, under which conditions, and again, no less important, it allows you to understand when to stop trading this strategy to avoid losses. It is generally assumed that such a knowledge cannot be adopted. Market professionals mostly believe that the ability to flexibly change the trading behavior along with the changes in the market depends on individual talent of a trader, but such a skill cannot be learned or trained. However, I state that there exists a formal method which allows the trader or a trading system developer to constantly monitor changes in the market environment, to find new viable trading ideas based on the deep understanding of market structure, to convert them into programming codes, and successfully trade automatically. To summarize all we discussed today, we can say that the key advantage of the Certified Algorithmic Trader course is that it gives you the knowledge and skills to find your own trading ideas rather than only teaching you just existing methods. Remember a tale about a starving man beside the river. There are two options to feed him: to give him fish or teach him how to fish. The absolute majority of trading educational programs and courses just provide you with some fish, of which you will run out sooner or later, and our course teaches you how to fish, and therefore how to always find some bread and maybe even with some butter. So now, as I promised in the very beginning of the webinar, I'd like to explain the very meaning of the name of our official educational course towards the CIT certification, EdgeSense. Originally, I used this name as an acronym. Edge means exactly what it means, the trader's edge in trading, and sense stands for common sense. Therefore, EdgeSense refers to an edge that is achieved with just common sense, something very reasonable, explainable, and straightforward. I think that it fully explains the essence of my method and aims not to make things complex where it's not necessary, and find new edges in markets using clear logic. So now it's time to say thank you for attending today's webinar. I hope you enjoyed it, and now we have some little time to answer your questions if there is any.